One of my favorite memories from college was, what? Huh? Are you good? Okay. One of my favorite memories from college was New Year's Eve parties every year. And now, for some people, New Year's Eve is just a lot of alcohol, getting blackout drunk, and doing all those things. My friends weren't that type. We would go to my friend's small hometown. So after Christmas, when we were with our families, we would all drive over from our different places in Texas to this guy's house and do New Year's Eve with board games and, shooting Roman candles at each other and staying up late eating like Southern comfort foods. And it was my favorite thing. Like, I loved it every year, and then it eventually just died. I was convinced that we were gonna be making this party last forever. I was like, no matter how big we get, no matter who gets married, no matter what kids come in the picture, no matter where we live, we're gonna come together every year. Even if you can't make it each year, a group would be together at this guy's house. And that was really wrong. For a variety of reasons, obviously we grow up, we get jobs, we move off, it becomes difficult. But the real deal breaker, the thing that really kind of like drove a stake into the heart of this party, was when we started to have kids. Now, I love kids. I love my children. I love my friends' children. But it's really, really hard to start cramming everybody in a house when you need room for 4 pack and plays, and you need a space for everyone to be quiet on one side of the house so the babies can sleep and you can stay up. And when kids wake up at 5 a.m. no matter what, staying up late is just not something that's fun anymore. And then on top of that, just the travel, and after trying to survive the holiday seasons of taking little ones to all of our family members, the idea of coming together with our friends was just too much for most of us. Although a lot of factors contributed to it falling apart, kids were the key thing that made this thing not exist anymore. Now, I'm lucky to see any of these friends on occasion. And these are my best friends from college, guys that were in my wedding, and I'm lucky to see them maybe once every other year. Even more than that, there's a guy that was part of this group that I love. I lived with this guy in college. He lives in my same city. We never see each other. One day we actually ended up at the same restaurant. As I was walking out, I saw him and his wife, and I was like, oh, dude. And we kind of like caught up, and they had gotten a babysitter for their kid, and we got babysitters for our kids. And so we were just enjoying a night out. We ran into each other and we're like, oh my gosh, we need to get together. We live in the same city, let's do this. And we both were like, yeah, that's great. We even texted a couple times about it, but you know how life is, like we just could not muster up the strength and energy to try and coordinate our calendars to hang out. And so even people I love dearly that live in the same city as me, I just don't see anymore. And it's primarily because of my kids. Now, some people say life is over when you have kids, and I hate that. I hate when people say that. When my wife was expecting our first child, I was used to sharing the news with people, and a lot of people would say, get ready, your life is over, you can't do anything you want anymore, it's all about the kids. And it was such a negative reaction, I just stopped wanting to share it. And even when I did share it, I kind of braced myself for the negativity. Until one day I shared it with a guy, an acquaintance, and he said, aren't you so excited about that? I was like, what? He's like, yeah, aren't you so excited about having your first kid? Parenting is so cool. And I was like, taken aback. I was like, thank you for saying it that way. I'm getting a lot of negativity from other parents. And he said, oh, well, those parents are selfish. I was like, whoa, dude. He was just so blunt about it. He said, listen, the people who say their lives are over and they don't love their life anymore because they have kids, they're just selfish. They weren't ready for what it takes to be a parent, and they only see how children take away from the things they love and don't add to things in a new way. And I was like, whoa, this was life-changing for me to hear someone say, if someone's negative reaction about parenting is the first thing they say to you is negative, they're just selfish about parenting. Like, they're selfish about their life. They don't like how kids interrupted their lives. And it's easy to get that way. I think about my New Year's Eve party. That's one of a million different things that kids have shut down for me. And it's easy to say, well, my life is over. But I want you to understand it's not. And it's not right to think that. Obviously, we have these feelings, and some people weren't ready for parenting, or it was thrown on them in a way they weren't ready for. And so I get that. But ultimately, when you have kids, your life isn't over. It's just really, really different. But one thing that's different are friendships. It's ironic that parenting is so lonely because you literally can't get a second alone. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when you say you can't even go to the bathroom without somebody banging on the door or barging in on you wanting to sit at your feet. Like, there's this scene from Bluey where they take a break for Bluey's dad, Bandit, to go poop or whatever. He's going to the bathroom and his kids are just like leaning on him and they're like, "Oh, it's stinky." And he's like, "You're welcome to wait outside. Like, no one invited you in here." And the reality of that moment was just, it struck me. Like, you're never alone because your kids always want to be with you, yet you feel so lonely. You see these friendships falling apart. You see people you love dearly drifting away to where you only see them on social media and maybe have an occasional text conversation. So it's easy to get lonely. And then on top of that, not only these friendships that are established start fading away, you don't have the bandwidth to make new ones. You may be in a new season of life at a new school with your kids or a new church or whatever. You just don't have the bandwidth to like get outside of your house and like coordinate schedules with grown-ups to have a real conversation. So although you're never alone while parenting because kids are always around, it's easy to feel lonely. I was getting overwhelmed with this feeling once when, for a rare, weird occasion, my wife took the kids out of town to visit her parents and I couldn't go because I had a work conflict. And in the same weekend, I had a friend, she had the weekend off as well. Her family was out of town and she was kind of talking to me about like, "What are your plans? What are you gonna do this weekend?" She's like, "I can't wait. I've got this plan with this person. I'm gonna grab dinner with these friends and da-da-da-da-da." And I was like, dude, like I might watch Netflix and then like fall asleep early. Like I have no plans to hang out with people. Not because I don't have friends, but because all of my friends are in the same stage of life. And the idea of finding someone who's miraculously available to hang out on the weekend I am, it was impossible. Like I didn't have friends that were gonna be free because they also had families that were kind of demanding all their time. And I was like, I just don't have friends like that. And she said, "Well, one day you will." I was like, "No, like, how is this gonna get better?" She said, "Well, my daughter is 17. She drives herself everywhere. She has her own friends. She goes out to eat with her people. Like, she doesn't need me nearly as much as she did when she was 5, 6, 7 years old. So I've got my life back. You know, I've got my daughter to take care of and she's on her way out of the house and I've got friends." And I was like, oh, like I knew that parenting was seasonal. Like I know that my kids aren't gonna be in my house forever, but to hear an actual real life adult say, "Hey, your kids get older, they need you less, you end up having more time for yourself." It was just a new thing to me to hear someone say, and it gave me some hope. It let me realize that this is seasonal, okay? Your life with littles is temporary. The demands of your life based on these little humans is only for a season, and there will come a day when you can rebuild friendships and make new friendships. But although this season is temporary, it doesn't make it any easier. Like you still feel like a loser. You either feel like a bad friend because you're ignoring texts, you're not connecting with people that you love, or you feel like a loser because you don't have the energy to make new friends and to get a community and to get that village. I see a lot of things on social media like, "You need a village, where's my village?" And if you move away from your family, it's almost impossible to rebuild that village because it takes so much energy just to like build those friendships up. And so it's easy to get discouraged. And although it is temporary, that doesn't make it any easier to face this reality for the next few years as your kids demand so much energy that you're unable to build or take care of adult friendships. So the question for parents is, how do we restore old friendships and how do we make new friendships? And I think we first need to lower our expectations. I think we have this idea that we can go back to the way things were when we were younger, before kids or in college, where we had buddies we could always hang out with. That's never gonna happen again. You're never gonna have people that can just drop everything they're doing to go grab coffee. That was a unique season of life that no longer exists. So lower your expectations about what your friendships are gonna look like during this season and into the future. And honestly, it's okay to focus most of your energy on your kids. I think a lot of us feel guilty and say, "Oh my gosh, I need to text that person back, or I need to grab coffee with that friend. Like I know she needs to hang out." Like it's easy to feel guilty about that, but you need to fight that urge and lean into the demands that your kids have. They are not going to be this demanding for that long. They are not gonna want you around this long. So as they are at their extreme level of neediness, just dive in, okay? It is okay to push those friendships to the side because you can go back to those later or build new ones, but you're never gonna have this season of high demand from your kids. They're not gonna want you around after a few years. So lean into that. Parenting is that one time of life where you have someone that just demands every ounce of your attention, and it's okay to lean into that. We all know those friends that we've had who were a little bit too needy. They wanted us to hang out too often. They checked in on us too often. Like we just weren't We love them, but they wanted too much from us. Kids are like that times a million, okay? Like they want every second of us. The other day I was feeling guilty about screen time for my kids, and so I turned off the TV. I said, hey, let's take a break. Like y'all find something to do for fun, and we're not gonna watch TV for now. And immediately what they chose to do was bring their toys under my feet, literally under my feet. And I was like, you are on top of me. And it's just, they have this high need to be relational with us. And if you've got someone demanding this relational like connection at a high level, it's okay to let those other relationships in your life fall apart for a little bit, because those kids want that relationship with you so badly. So don't feel bad. And honestly, if your friends have kids, they get it. They get it. And for your friends without kids, I'm sorry. Like they're not gonna understand what you're going through. So just check in when you can, text them, but lower those expectations on what those friendships are gonna be and lean into the needs your kids have for you. Now, for our mental health, it's not ideal to just like totally cut off from the adult world. So that's not what I am telling you to do. We still need to have those adult conversations. And a lot of us have jobs with coworkers that we can connect with, or parenting partners that we kind of have good time with, but single parents don't have that, or you may not have a good relationship, or if you're a stay-at-home mom or dad, you don't get to go out and have those coworkers. So it's, for our mental health, we gotta have some form of adult meaningful connection. We of course all know that, but how do we get that? I'm gonna give you some advice that I think many mental health professionals would balk at. And I'm sorry, this is just the reality. Okay, here's the reality. We can lean into digital community. We can lean into the friends, the people in the trenches in the same kind of life stage as us digitally. Right here on social media, you can find real great connections with real life humans that are going through the same things you are. And of course, you may not be able to grab coffee with them, but you can build friendships. Like there are so many people on social media who aren't even there to create. They're there just to connect with others that they've never met in their life. 10 years ago, social media was all about connecting with people you knew in real life. That is gone. Those days are over. Social media is so much bigger than that. And so you can lean into those digital connections. Now, mental health professionals might say that that's like not a good idea. They may say, well, it's ideal to have real friendships and you don't need to like lean into digital stuff too much. You really need to have real life human interaction. And I agree, okay? Like for the rest of your life, if all you did was connect digitally, that wouldn't be good. But look at it this way. Let's say that you are dying of thirst in a desert, like you are just cut off from everybody, and you come across a case of Dr. Pepper. Now, ideally, Dr. Pepper is not gonna nourish you. If all you drank for the rest of your life was Dr. Pepper, you just wouldn't survive, unless you're that one old lady that lived 105 and so that's all she drank. But other than that one lady, like if all you did was drink soda for the rest of your life, that wouldn't nourish your body. But if you're dying in a desert for a season and you find Dr. Pepper, you're gonna drink it. You're gonna drink that whole case and get what nourishment you can, and then when you get out of the desert, you're gonna go back to water and getting the fluids that way. That's what digital connection is for me. It should never be the rest of your life your primary form of connection. We absolutely need to be hugging and seeing and like making eye contact with people. But while we're in this desert, while we're in the desert of parenting where we can't have those meaningful connections in real life, digital connection is 100% okay. Okay? And you can lean into that for this season without any shame. We're talking about TikTok comments. We're talking about YouTube stuff. We're talking about, Facebook groups, things like that. You can connect with people digitally just in comment threads. Like you can build a community surrounding a content creator. That's actually why I'm here. If you're looking for that community like this so that more parents can see it, and subscribe so that you can become part of what we're doing here, because this is a way that you can get to know real life humans where you can feel that you're not alone, where you can make connections and build a community while you're in the trenches, while you're in the desert alone with these kids. Going even deeper with the digital connection, I'd love for you to consider like a Facebook group. And listen, Facebook is a dumpster fire, but the one saving grace of Facebook, I think, are their groups. When me and my wife first moved to our new city, my daughter was 1 year old, and my wife had been in a Facebook group that was kind of a national group of babies born in, spring or winter 2016 or whatever. She was in that group, and it was a great resource for just tips and ideas and what's going on. But then when we moved to a new city, she thought, oh wow, this Facebook group world is a great way to make real connections. And so she found a Facebook moms group for our new community, joined it, and not only did she join it, she put out an invitation a few weeks later to be like, hey, I'm gonna be at this park on this day. We'd love for you to come and be a part of it. And like 8 or 9 women and their kids showed up at this park to hang out. Digital connection became real life human connection. This group became like real friends. They threw baby showers for moms who were expecting new kids. They grabbed dinners. They went to each other's houses. We hosted girls' nights at our house with these women. Like, it was an incredible, like perfect, to me, example of how the digital space can turn into real life community. And so if you're wondering, how do I get community? If I don't have time to hang out with friends, if I don't have time to rebuild friendships or make new ones, what do I do? I think Facebook groups are a great place to start. Look for the parenting groups in your community, put some feelers out, get to know them a little bit, and then just set up a park play date. And you're gonna be surprised at what kind of friendships come from that. And beyond that, in the dating world, we have all these apps that you can kind of connect with people, and many of us are far removed from that. But so many of these dating apps now have friendship sections where you are just there looking for people like you in a similar stage of life. And that's another way to take digital connection into real world, meaningful relationships. So in this period of life where you're feeling alone, you don't have time to make friends or keep friendships up, just lower your expectations. Don't feel so bad. Lean into those kid relationships. They're demanding your energy. It's okay to lean into that. And then maybe take a few steps to make some real connections digitally or in person through the digital connection points that I talked about, and you're gonna be better off. You may not be perfect. Once again, you're in the desert, okay? You're in the thick of it with little kids in your life. One day it will become way easier to manage these friendships. In this period of life, take what you can get. Listen, I know that we've got great friends that we've kind of left to the side, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. Like we check in on them, text them every now and then, but lean into these digital connections if that's what you need for this season, and then pick up those other friendships or build new friendships in a different way as your kids get older. But just know, you're not a bad friend. You're a parent. If you're looking for community, if you're looking for connection in the digital space, this is what this page is all about. I'm not here to entertain, really. I'm not here to like be famous. I'm here to give some tips, encouragement, and ultimately build a safe space for parents. And so if you're a parent looking for that connection, I'd love for you to like this video. Liking videos pushes it out to more parents so we can build this community faster. And subscribe. Subscriptions are important, obviously, for a million different reasons in the algorithm, but I'd love for you to like and subscribe so that we can build this community together. Be a part of this movement to make a new space for us to connect with others that are like us.